Very good Monday to everybody. Thanks for clicking on to today's European Outlook. It was an interesting weekend of weather, and also it was an interesting weekend here on the channel as well. Live stream yesterday at 4 p.m. It was a good one as always. Always nice to interact with one another. We looked through some of the snow videos and photos from the past few days. A real potpourri of weather through Friday, Saturday, and Sunday across the British Isles. As an area of low pressure moved through, we had gales, we had heavy rainfall with sleet, snow, freezing rain, and we also seen a rapid rise in temperature across southern areas. But this morning, under clear skies and light winds, we did actually see the coolest morning of the winter so far here in the UK, officially anyway, at minus 13.3 at Loch Liscarnock. But you can see here by the Highland Weather Network that we had plenty of double digits below freezing last night and through the early hours of this morning. Temperatures were actually on the rise as we progressed through the overnight as cloud and breeze picked up. But you can see here up at the Altlahara, for example, minus 12, in and around the Kinbrace area, minus 13. Then as you pan further south, we had plenty of minus 10s and 11s, minus 8 quite widespread as well. Even down here at Everton, we had the temperatures down to minus 7.2 last night, so a rather chilly one for sure. And then even on the west shores of Loch Liscarnock, we had the temperatures of around minus 13. So obviously the Met Office weather station recorded minus 13.3. So widespread cold through the course of this morning, especially across northern areas of the UK. In stark contrast, we had temperatures in double digits across far southern portions of the country. And we also seen rain change to snow, back to rain, back to snow. So it really has been a very eventful past couple of days for sure across the British Isles. This pan through, this is off Meteo Seal, and we had that area of low pressure that moved across the country during the past 24-36 hours. So if we pan back, we had the colder initially across even the south of the UK as well as the entire country. But as that system moved in, we did see initial snow slightly inland from the south coast, but nonetheless over particularly some moderate high ground, we've seen some snow change very quickly over to rain, and then that milder continued to get drawn northwards, probably reaching as far as the Manchester, Liverpool, Leeds line, and then eventually started to sink south as we progressed through the course of today. But that area of low pressure crossing South Wales, the central portions of England, colder across the northern half of the UK with clear skies and light winds. We did see obviously some very cold temperatures during the overnight period. And yesterday was a very cold day, in fact, minus 6.6 at Fyvie Castle in Aberdeenshire. So that was the coldest daytime maximum by a long shot this winter so far. And we, through particularly the middle and second half of this week, we could see even colder still. The Met Office model is indicating a minus 20 around the Loch Liscarnock area by the time we reach Friday morning. We'll see just how cold it actually gets. But there's also been a lot of showers during the course of today. As that main system then moved into the North Sea, we were starting to pick up more feeder bands off the Atlantic, or North Sea, should I say, on the northern flank of the low. And it was initially falling as kind of rain and sleet at sea level along coastal areas and inlet areas, anywhere from the Forth Clyde Valley up into the Murray, the Cromarty, and the Dornoch Firths. Rain here at Marvogan Weather HQ, but get yourself 250 metres above sea level, and we're seeing it all falling as snow, and some fairly substantial accumulations building up through the course of today, particularly across northern areas of the UK, but obviously down across the heart of England, especially over higher elevations of Yorkshire, into parts of Lancashire, Cumbria. We did see some significant amounts of snow. It looks as if the County Durham area and perhaps Northumberland picking up in some of the biggest snow totals, even into parts of the borders region of Scotland, seeing some significant snow. Not only just the UK, by the way, but let's not forget our friends over in Ireland. We've seen some decent amounts of snow falling here as well. But that area of low pressure is actually becoming quite a deep low over the North Sea. So this is how it stands at the moment. We've got pressure down into the well into the mid 950s in millibars, which is quite interesting. We could see some significant weather moving into the near continent. But what this is doing is while we've got the cold air still across the north, albeit the air mass has been moderating really over the last 24 hours. After the cold start, we had temperatures recovered into low single figures in plus territory and in positive territory, as opposed to the well below freezing maximums of yesterday. The air mass definitely was moderated during the course of today. That slightly milder air associated with that area of low pressure was kind of moderating the air mass across particularly even northern areas of the British Isles. But the strong gusty winds associated with that as well. But we're also seeing the push of milder air on the southern side of the low. If you look at the current temperatures across Europe, we've got some fairly mild air getting driven into parts of Germany, for example. So on the southern side, with winds coming in from the west, we've got even at this hour. So obviously the sun has long set. We've got 12, 13 Celsius over northern portions of Germany, well above the average for this time of the year. Chillier air going to start to dig back in again. As that low exits, we're going to pick up northerly flow. And those showers that were generally coming in from an east northeast direction during the course of today, going to then start to come in from a more northerly direction over the next couple of days. So Tuesday, Wednesday, we're going to see those showers continuing to feed down from the north, and that is going to reinforce the Arctic air mass that we've had in place, particularly central and northern UK, and much of Ireland has generally been in the colder air as well. And so daytime temperatures are going to start to struggle once again after a slight recovery through today. But particularly nighttime temperatures, I think, with higher pressure likely to build in Wednesday, Thursday into Friday, we could see a particularly cold portion of this spell. Probably the core of the coldest weather so far is to come in the coming nights. But we'll play back through the loop here, and I want to show you the evolution of this change in air mass as we progress through the course of yesterday. So this is at 1750 UTC. Yesterday we had bone chilling cold across northern Scotland, but we had 12, 13, even 14 Celsius across the far south of the UK, and then even into France, Iberia, we had fairly mild air, 17s in the north shore of Spain, for example. We had, like I say, widespread 12 to 14 across northern France, even into the Low Countries. There was the chilly air across northern Germany, extending into Poland here. And as we play through this loop, as that low crosses the UK, you can see that the milder air continues to push its way into central areas of Europe. So this is how it's looking now. Temperatures are starting to come down now, 5 to 7 Celsius in the south of the UK. But the core of that warmth associated with the southern flank of the low is now residing over northern portions of Germany. So essentially, the air mass that we had over southern UK last night at this time is now over Germany, and the centre of the low is going to push in also. But yeah, we do have some very interesting images coming out of various parts of the British Isles. This is Lee's snow report from a snowy car bridge this morning, or in fact, I think it was actually this afternoon he posted that video. Do check out Highland and Islands Weather, both on Facebook and Twitter. Give him a follow. It always provides some very, very useful information. This is a nice video here by Chris, based in Strathdawn.
Big Lake, Alaska.
That is not the video I was wanting to show. There we go here. So this was shown this afternoon from a snowy rough part in Strathdawn this morning. Some pretty heavy snowfall here. This is Braemar area, beautiful part of Scotland for sure. If you know this general area, this was the scene from a snowy Edinburgh, I believe, earlier on this morning as well. Heavy rainfall during the course of yesterday. I watched, unfortunately, Rangers against Hibs last night, the highlights anyway, and it looked as if it was chucking it down pretty much throughout the game. But with colder air digging in as that low then started to track eastwards, we've seen some nice snow. This is a photograph here on Facebook via Marie Riley Morrison showing the snow in the Edinburgh area of eastern Central Belt. This was the scene also at where was this here? This is in Clesham, between Lewis and Harris. So even in the Western Isles, where temperatures were modestly mild yesterday, with colder air digging in from the north and gale force winds, in fact, now starting to become generated during the overnight tonight. we did see some wintry conditions, especially over higher ground, especially once you get down towards the Harris-Lewis border. That is quite a steep climb in elevation. This was the scene in Ireland from our friends at the Ireland Weather Channel, showing some pretty nasty snow conditions here. So, like I said, it isn't just Scotland, it isn't just England and Wales, but it is also across Ireland, this snowfall as well. This was the scene of the A9 shown on the Traffic Scotland webcam earlier on today. This is another lovely scene here coming out of this is West Yorkshire, of pretty significant accumulations actually in this photograph. So yeah, we did see quite probably a good at least a half a foot in parts of West Yorkshire, up into County Durham. We've seen probably Tyneside, especially the west of Newcastle, seeing some decent snowfall up into Northumberland, across the Pennines, and even into Lancashire and Cumbria. We're seeing some blowing and drifting of the snow as well in the strong winds. This was also the scene from the M62 captured by a guy yesterday. So no surprise, M62 was right in the heart of the amber warning yesterday, and no, really has not surprised me in the slightest that we've seen this scene of snow chaos. But like I said, just if you haven't checked out yesterday's live stream, be sure to check it out, because it was quite an interesting live yesterday, the first of 2025 also. But we have more winter weather to come as we look at the visible satellite imagery. The sun has now set. There's a beautiful curl associated with that low as it deepens into the 950s now, approaching the upper shores of the Netherlands and into Denmark. Probably some very strong gusty winds associated with that, moving through the Low Countries, Denmark, even in the southern portions of Scandinavia. Could see some pretty significant wave action through lower portions of the Baltic Sea as well. But it's as that system then moves into the near continent, we're going to start to pick up that northerly flow that is going to reinforce the cold air. We're going to see plenty of snow showers getting driven in on that northerly wind, and we have got, this is a look at the latest radar, and you can see what the situation we've got with regards to the 2 seconds here. I'm just going to try and pull this up here in terms of the radar. Is it going to show me here the right image? Sorry, I'll tell you what, I'll show you this here image real quick. This is obviously not distinguishing between rain and snow, but you can see plenty of shower activity across parts of the central belt, really. Obviously winds blowing through the central belt. You can get sleet and snow showers reaching all the way to Glasgow and points westwards when you've got a straight easterly flow. We don't have a straight easterly flow, we actually have a northerly flow starting to get generated, but you can see the precip band associated with the western flank of that, the area of low pressure. So we've got heavy precipitation wrapping around that centre over the North Sea. But the winds are going to become stronger out of the north as we progress through the overnight period tonight. Looking at the current temperatures, and you can see how it's looking at the time of recording, which is just before 5:30 p.m. We're now starting to see 5 to 7 Celsius down across the far south, anywhere from the Southampton area to St Catherine's Point on the south shore of the Isle of Wight. But we've got 1 and 2 Celsius now over parts of the higher ground of southwest England, Bodmin Moor, for example, seeing some fairly chilly temperatures. And if we play back through this loop, you can see where we were 24 hours ago, and it is a big difference to say the least. So this was how it was looking at 1750 yesterday, so obviously slightly later than it is at the moment. So it's slightly less than 24 hours, but we've got temperatures 12 to 13 Celsius across the far south. Then we've got the around the freezing mark across North Wales, North Midlands, extending up into Northern England. And then once you got north of the central belt, where we're really in the colder, clear skies, light winds, temperatures were already at -10 at this time last night at 1750. So about as big of a contrast in terms of temperature as you're really ever going to see here in the UK. And then as we played through the overnight period, we did see the temperature drop into -13.3 at Loch Liscarnock, -10 at Altnahara, I had the, like I say, -7 here at the house. So a bit of the cold start of the day, but then as the day wore on, the temperatures did recover reasonably quickly due to the slightly milder air wrapping in on the northern flank of the low. Temperatures rose to 3.6 Celsius here this afternoon, but they are going to start to come down as we progress through the overnight period tonight. This is how the month of January is looking so far. So through the first 6 days of the month, we are firmly colder than average, slightly less cold across the far south, given the mild air mass we've seen over the last 24 hours or so. Southern portions of Ireland has actually got the greatest anomalies compared to average, according to the CDAS 0.5 data. We've also got below average across Norway, Sweden, and Finland, but the majority of mainland Europe, with exceptions of interior Iberia, is generally warmer than average. Looking at the upcoming 7 day period of the ECM weeklies, this is how the temperature anomalies are looking. So get the chart, and you can see here this is the next 7 days, and firmly colder than average. Look at Iceland, extremely cold compared to average, and bear in mind we're approaching the heart of winter, climatological peak of winter, and that is an incredible anomaly. Even parts of Norway and Sweden is seeing some incredible cold, but even the UK and Ireland, that is a bitterly cold anomaly compared to average for the period between the 5th through the 12th of January. Then, as we move towards the weekend, it looks as if we are going to start to see milder air moving in, but the modelling still holds on to something slightly colder as we move towards the day 5 through 12, which is Friday the 10th through the 17th of January. But it's going to get interesting actually, because this MJO is really becoming quite amplified in phases 7 and 8. If we look at the latest of the GFS model, you can see that we've got quite a strengthening of the MJO in these phases, and these are still cold phases, by the way, despite the fact that we've got a surge of much milder conditions this upcoming weekend. I'm quite intrigued to see how much the atmosphere responds to this enhanced convection extending from the Atlantic into the western side of the Indian Ocean. That can be a little bit of a hit and miss when it comes to favourability for cold here in the UK and Ireland. We tend to lose a little bit of that block. There has been some rumblings with regards to a Scandi block developing, but I'm not entirely sure about that. But nonetheless, I think we're going to hold this pattern through towards the middle portions of the month, and then we will wait and see how prominent this mild spell becomes. But looking at the latest Arctic oscillation, very deeply negative. In fact, it's the most negative that we've seen in many months, actually. And you couldn't really get much better than this. If you're wanting cold and snow at the coldest and snowiest time of the year, this is really ideal. Looking at the North Atlantic oscillation, you can see here that we're negative at the moment, and it's expected to slowly start to recover as we move towards week 3, it looks like, of January. So we'll keep a close eye on that as we go through the next few days. Looking at the latest Met Office model here, you can see that we've got plenty of showers, rain across more southern areas. In fact, let's go back to the a bit more the current period. So this is towards the here and now. So this is 18Z. This evening we've got those showers falling probably as rain at the lower levels here, but generally above 150 meters, and particularly away from the coastal areas, we're seeing mainly snow showers, and those snow showers are going to continue through the next few days. We've also got the winds coming in from a northwesterly direction, so clipping parts of eastern and northern Ireland, western portions of Scotland, into the west and northwest of England and Wales. We could see some significant snow, for example, through the overnight period tonight across parts of Wales. So further heavy accumulation is expected. Continue to see those showers blowing in on the northerly flow in the northern portions of Scotland. So we are going to see snow cover, perhaps in places that we haven't already seen the snow, especially over low elevations, but it's generally an exposure of the wind. That's where you pick up those snow bands moving in off either the Atlantic or the North Sea, depending on exactly where that wind is blowing in. Local geography plays a factor as well. It could some hills nearby. If the wind's blowing, it could also be you could be protected by those hills, whether it be north, south, east, or west. So there is quite a lot of complexity in terms of these convective snow bands. If you're just in the right place, you could see significant snow. If you happen to be sheltered, like I say, from hills or mountains, you may see literally nothing at all. But you can see here as we continue to play through, that northerly flow continues to blow in the snow showers over the next several days. And then it's really as high pressure starts to build in later Wednesday through Thursday into Friday, that is when things turn particularly cold, especially when the conditions start to become more settled. But you can see here that we also have a threat of snow across more southern areas as we progress through the later Tuesday into Wednesday time frame. But the latest model run of the Met Office model indicates that it is not really overly enthusiastic. You can see here it's clipping the south coast. This is by 15Z on Wednesday. Continue to play through. You see that we do have a yellow warning, by the way, for snow and ice off the Met Office here. So generally, especially away from the immediate coastline, we could see an accumulating snow perhaps during the back half of Wednesday. But that system then quickly clears out. And then as it clears out, the skies clear as it pulls away, and we are left with some particularly cold air and cold overnight temperatures. Still seeing that northerly flow bringing in the snow showers across parts of North and Central Highland, into parts of North and Mid Wales also as we progress through later Thursday and into Friday. And then as we move towards the weekend itself, we've got something milder coming in. Again, as that moisture bumps into the cold air, we could see snow initially, and then it changes over to rain. Let's have a quick look at the 850 temperatures real quick. And if we go back to the current situation, so there's the milder air at 850 starting off at 04Z this morning, 5s and 6s across the far south, generally 5, -6 across the far north, but generally this air mass has been moderated slightly as we've progressed through the course of today. But then as the colder air digs back south, we're going to see the 850 temperatures drop close to -10 once again, especially over Central Highland through tonight and into tomorrow. And then we're left with that northerly flow over the next few days that continues to see those 850s or 5,000 foot level temperatures generally in the -7 to -8 Celsius range by the looks of it. Slightly less cold across the far south as that next system moves and skirts across the south. Now, there is still uncertainty about that Wednesday system. It may go further south, missing the UK altogether, or it could go slightly further north, meaning that we could see snow further north into southern England, possibly even into South Wales as well. So we'll need to monitor how far north this feature becomes. But once you get that block in place, it tends to force areas of low pressure further south, and that looks to be the case at the moment. And you can see here as we move towards the back half of Thursday, we've got -10, -11 Celsius at 850. Now, bear in mind that we are going to start to see the winds dropping off with snow-covered ground, especially with those snow showers blowing in over the next couple of days. The stage is very much set for what could be -15 to -20 Celsius as we progress through the next couple of nights. So it's going to be all eyes on those temperatures moving forward here. And then at the very end of the loop, you can see the milder air now starting to push in off the Atlantic as change is coming. Finally, let's have a quick look at the temperatures over the next few days and nights, and then we will round up. By the way, have you hit that subscribe button yet? It's absolutely free. 7 days a week content here on the channel. European Outlook Monday to Saturday, and then there's the live stream every Sunday afternoon. It's becoming more and more popular. We're starting to see more concurrent viewers, more interaction on the live chat as well. If you haven't already done so, be sure to subscribe. Hit the notification bell as well so that you're notified of every upload, and also the live streams on Sunday. Like I said, they are becoming more exciting. There's more interaction. There's more people tuning in. So it would be good to see if you haven't already tuned in. So this is the temperatures as of early tomorrow morning. Generally -5 or 6 in a few spots here. Not quite as cold across northern areas as we've seen in the past couple of nights. But that is going to change as we progress through the course of Wednesday, especially even in the further south locations. We're going to see temperatures well into potentially double figures below freezing, believe it or not. as we move into Thursday and Friday. You can see here that the model's indicating, crazily enough, minus 15 over the central Pennines by the time we reach later on Wednesday. So that's an interesting one. This is obviously raw model data, so you have to kind of filter a couple of things here, but it's even showing a minus 15, minus 16 in parts of northern England. And then as we move into later Thursday into Friday morning, the modelling is indicating some very, very cold numbers across northern Scotland here, minus 15 to possibly as low as slightly colder than that as well. So all to play for. Very interesting times to come. We'll look at the polar vortex and a little bit more detail with regards to the medium to longer term in tomorrow's video. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. See you next time with more. Bye for now.